Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to talk about saving some money?
Always up for that.
Me too, especially when it involves easy, practical tips.
Sounds right up our alley.
It is. So we're diving into Amjad Ishar's blog post, 30 Easy Money-Saving Hacks for a Frugal Lifestyle.
30 hacks. That's a lot to unpack.
It is, right. But don't worry, we're focusing on the most intriguing and actionable ones. The ones you can implement, like today.
Love that. So where does Ishar suggest we begin this frugal journey?
Well, he starts with the basics. Those small, everyday habits that often get overlooked, like turning off lights when you leave a room.
Oh, come on. Who doesn't do that?
You'd be surprised. It's one of those things that seems so obvious, but it's easy to forget in the hustle and bustle of daily life.
That's true. It's like that saying, out of sight, out of mind. But those lights still drain energy, even when we don't see them.
Exactly, and that adds up on your energy bill. Plus, think of it this way. Every time you flip that switch off, you're being a little kinder to the planet.
Can't argue with that.
Mm-hmm.
Small changes, big impact. Right.
Right. And speaking of impact, Ishar's next suggestion is all about reducing food waste. He calls it leftover buffet night.
Leftover buffet. That sounds kind of fun, actually.
Right. It's like a culinary challenge. Instead of tossing those odds and ends in the fridge, you get creative and turn them into a meal.
I like how it reframes leftovers as an opportunity instead of, just leftovers.
Exactly. And it's not just about saving money, although that's a huge perk. It's also about respecting the resources we have.
And reducing our environmental footprint. After all, food waste is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions.
Absolutely. Ishar actually quotes Dana Gunders in his post saying, "Reducing food waste is one of the simplest yet most impactful ways to live a more sustainable life."
Couldn't agree more. So we've covered saving energy and reducing food waste. What else does Ishar have up his sleeve?
Okay, get this. He suggests tapping into the power of community.
Community. How does that factor into frugal living?
Oh, it's brilliant, actually. He talks about the beauty of skill swapping, where you exchange talents and knowledge with friends and neighbors.
Like a barter system, but for skills.
Exactly. Let's say you're a whiz at fixing computers, and your neighbor is a master gardener. You could help each other out instead of paying for those services.
That's actually a really cool idea.
Yeah.
It not only saves money, but also strengthens community bonds.
And it can be fun. Plus, it taps into this whole idea of sharing resources and reducing our reliance on consumerism.
It's like that old saying, it takes a village, but instead of raising a child, you're saving money and learning new things.
I love that. And it's not just about practical skills either. Maybe you're a great cook and can offer cooking lessons in exchange for language lessons.
There you go. It's about recognizing the value we each bring to the table, literally and figuratively.
Exactly. And speaking of bringing things to the table, Ishar's next suggestion is all about DIY gift giving.
DIY gifts. Now, that's something I can get behind. There's just something so much more personal and meaningful about a handmade gift.
Right. It shows you put thought and effort into it. Plus, it can be a lot easier on the wallet than buying something from a store.
Absolutely. As Karen Wheeler, a craft blogger, says, it shifts the focus from the price tag to the personal value and thoughtfulness behind the gift.
And have you ever been to a clothing swap party?
I have, actually. They're a blast. Plus, you get to declutter your closet and refresh your wardrobe without spending a dime.
Exactly. Talk about a win-win-win. You're saving money, being sustainable, and having fun with friends.
It really challenges that traditional idea of, I need to buy something new for every occasion.
Totally. Okay, so we've covered everyday habits and community power, but what about those tempting purchases that can derail even the most frugal intentions?
Impulse buys. Oh, yeah. Those are dangerous.
Right. Ishar suggests creating a vision board for those moments. I used to think vision boards, really, but hear me out. It's about having a visual reminder of your financial goals.
So instead of focusing on that shiny new gadget, you see your vision board with, say, a picture of your dream vacation home.
Precisely. It's like Jack Canfield says, a vision board brings clarity to your aspirations and keeps your goals front of mind.
Makes sense. It's easier to resist temptation when you have a powerful why staring back at you.
Exactly. And speaking of staying on track, Ishar's a big fan of the envelope system for budgeting.
Oh, the envelope system. Classic. I've tried that one myself. It's surprisingly effective.
Have you really? I've been meaning to try it, but haven't gotten around to it. What makes it so effective, do you think?
It makes your spending more tangible. You allocate cash to different categories like groceries or entertainment, and once that envelope is empty, that's it.
So it's about setting those limits up front and actually sticking to them.
Exactly. Plus, there's something about physically handing over cash that makes you think twice about those impulse buys.
It's psychological, right? Like you're more aware of the money leaving your hands.
Precisely. Okay, next up, creating a home inventory. Now, I know this one might sound a bit tedious, but bear with me.
Home inventory. I'll admit that doesn't sound particularly thrilling.
I know. But think of it this way. It's about becoming more aware of what you already own. How many times have you bought something only to realize later you already had one?
Ugh, way too many times. Especially in the kitchen. Duplicate spices, anyone.
Exactly. A home inventory helps you avoid those unnecessary purchases and rediscover those hidden gems you already have. It's about appreciating the abundance we already possess.
That's a good point. It's like Marie Kondo says, tidying is the act of confronting yourself.
Hmm.
In this case, it's about confronting our spending habits and being more mindful of our resources.
Exactly. Okay, ready for some psychological hacks to outsmart those impulse buys?
Hit me with them.
Ishar talks about implementing a cooling-off period before making any non-essential purchases.
A cooling off period. I like the sound of that already.
It's all about interrupting that instant gratification cycle. Instead of immediately clicking buy now, you give yourself a day, a week, even a month to really think about it.
So if you're still thinking about it after the cooling off period, maybe it's something you truly want or need.
Exactly. And if not, you've saved yourself from a potential purchase you might have regretted.
Brilliant. Okay, this next one is a classic, but for a good reason. The spare change jar.
Oh, I love that one. It's so simple, yet it works. Every little bit heads up.
Right. It's about taking those small, consistent actions that over time can make a real difference.
Financial expert Ramit Sethi talks about this a lot. He says, small wins, small losses, they all add up.
Absolutely. So don't underestimate the power of those pennies and nickels. Okay, last but not least, in this section, Izhar highlights the importance of reusable products.
Now, that's something we can all get behind, right? Good for the wallet, good for the planet.
A no-brainer, for sure. I mean, who doesn't love saving money while also being a little kinder to the environment?
Plus, so many reusable options are just better quality these days. Think about it. A sturdy reusable water bottle versus a flimsy plastic one. It's a win-win for sure. Okay, we're on to the grand finale. Ready for this bonus round?
Hit me with it. More frugal hacks.
Oh yeah, Ishar doesn't hold back. He throws out ideas like buying in bulk, which, let's face it, can save a ton, especially if you're strategic about it.
It's funny, a lot of people think frugal living has to be restrictive, but this shows it can be about abundance too. Having a well-stocked pantry, for example.
Exactly. And he touches on minimalism, which can be great for decluttering your space and, let's be real, your mind too.
Decluttering is like a breath of fresh air for your finances too, when you think about it. Less stuff often means less spending.
And oh my gosh, he reminds us about public libraries. Like, hello, free books and resources. I'm a huge fan of libraries.
Yeah.
I mean, where else can you borrow a bestseller for free?
Right. And they're not just about books anymore. They have movies, music, even tools. Okay, ready for a few more.
Brahman.
He gets into meal planning and batch cooking to avoid those last-minute takeout temptations.
Oh, that's a good one. I actually started meal prepping a while back, and it's been a game changer for my budget and my sanity. Less time stressing about dinner, more time enjoying it.
I need to get on that. And here's one I bet resonates with you. He talks about repairing instead of replacing whenever possible.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We live in such a disposable culture, but sometimes giving something a little TLC is all it takes to give it a second life. Plus, it often costs way less than buying brand new.
Totally. It's like that old saying, they don't make them like they used to. So true. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into John Ishar's 30 easy money-saving hacks. What are your final thoughts?
You know, what strikes me is how approachable Ishar makes frugal living seem. It's not about deprivation. It's about being mindful, resourceful, and finding what works for you.
Exactly. It's about making those small, consistent changes that can make a big difference in your financial well-being and, honestly, your overall happiness, too. So, as you go about your week, what's one small step, one little hack you're inspired to try? Could be turning off those lights, planning your meals, or maybe finally starting that home inventory. Whatever resonates with you, give it a shot and see how it feels. Remember, frugal living is a journey, not a destination. So be kind to yourself, be open to experimenting, and most importantly, have fun with it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.